You are listening to The Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio, 102.7 FM. Right before the break there, I played for you some Do Make Say Think. And now with me in the studio, I have a new guest. My last guest just left, Stephanie and Kristen. And now I have with me in the studio... Hello, do you want to say your name and why you're here?
Yeah, hi, my name is Jessica Ross. I am the co-chair of Thunder Pride 2014.
Woo-woo.
Yeah, we're excited.
I'm excited, too, to have you here. Mm-hmm. So now this is it a week long? It almost seems like it's a bit longer than a week this year.
It's a week long. We go right from the 8th to the 15th, and our official media kickoff was on the 3rd with the flag raising.
That's what I thought.
It's a bit over a week, but between the 3rd and the 8th, we just get ready. Yeah.
So this festival is to celebrate LGBTQ,
TQ,
and awareness and equal rights, right?
Equal rights and just the diversity of the city. We really want to include everybody. I mean, it's LGBTQ focused, but we invite the entire community, everybody and their families and their children and their supporters, our allies. It's really for everyone.
Which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. So in Canada, we were talking about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. What does our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, does it have specifically address LGBTQT? I always say it wrong. It's horrible.
It's okay.
I'm horrible.
Well, there are a lot covered. This year, Thunder Pride, it's really exciting for us to be in our 4th year now and having some background, being able to focus on certain issues. So this year we've decided to focus on trans issues. Okay. And in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the trans issues, there's nothing explicit in there. Okay. There's nothing that says anything to do with anything specific. Okay. So, I mean, we're really hoping that just by drawing light to it and getting more people aware that we can bring this issue forward and have it rectified, if you will.
So you said 4 years.
Yes, this is our 4th year.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Have you been involved every single year?
No, this is my first.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what brought you to be involved this year?
Actually, I had a baby last May, and so I had a year off with maternity leave, and I didn't really realize when they're so small like that, there's not really much for you to do. So I was looking for something to do. Yeah. And a friend of mine said, well, I'm involved with Thunder Pride Committee. And I said, oh, you know what? That'll be perfect. So I came out and I went to the first meeting and I got involved. And then my baby got bigger and my time management became very important. And but it's been so rewarding. I wouldn't trade one lack of sleep for 1 minute of no sleep for it.
Well, and it sounds like you've had an amazing year. Becoming a mom, becoming involved in this, which is really important, I think, in our community.
It is. It really is. And I'm so happy that it happened for me this year, so that I knew that there were a lot of resources in Thunder Bay, but I didn't really understand until I got involved and I started working with the community and all of the different groups and all of the tons of volunteers that we have who put tireless hours into this. And I'm excited, especially now that I have my son, to be able to raise him in a way that is inclusive and teach him diversity and teach him right from the beginning, like from his very first month.
Well, and that's how it'll really change, I think, right? I read articles on feminism and making women involved, but I think everybody has to be involved. Everybody has to learn, and that's how change actually and acceptance
early
happens,
education,
right?
For sure. Yeah. You have to teach them right from, because homophobia and transphobia, it's not inherent. We're not born that way. That's learned behavior. So diversity and inclusivity is also learned behavior.
Interesting. So this week that's coming up, it's kind of starting.
It starts on Sunday, tomorrow.
Sunday.
Yeah, we have our opening smudge and drumming ceremony at 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Wonderful.
And then immediately following at 3, we have our first event. Which is our Sonny Drake performance. We brought him in from Toronto, and he's a performance artist, and he's doing a piece called Transgender Seeking.
Wow.
And it uses multimedia, and it's difficult to explain.
Yep.
But it's a very interesting show, and I really urge anybody to come out and see it. It's 3 o'clock tomorrow at the Paramount Theater.
Wonderful.
Tomorrow's Sunday, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's right. You're probably so dizzy from all the planning that you've been doing.
It has been a whirlwind. It really has.
But look, it's coming together and now it's going to happen. And
it feels so good. It just feels so exciting that it's here. I've been waiting since we meet for our first meeting in October. So I've been waiting for October, and we've all been working so hard to see it come to light. And we're just, I'm jittery with it. The anticipation is killing me.
Well, I feel very lucky to live in Canada because I think there's so much more equal rights available to everybody than, say, in the United States.
Say in the United States,
would you agree?
Anywhere,
really.
Yeah. The especially just coming off the Olympics and having the anti-gay laws in Russia being all over the media and all over the news, and so many people stood up all over the world. It was really inspiring. Mm-hmm. It was really inspiring to see people say, hey, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, they obviously haven't changed anything yet, but it takes one and then two and then hundreds and then thousands and then hundreds of thousands and millions of people to change.
Mm-hmm. And then I think eventually too, corporations, like there were a few that actually stood up and said, no, we're not going to be involved. We're not going to advertise. And I think then when it's involved, when the money gets involved, that's when these huge events are happening and all this kind of prejudice and discrimination is occurring, they'll have to change it because they won't have the backing. They won't have the advertising, right? So I think
it boils down to money all the time.
It does.
It's not that great, but if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes. And as long as people keep,
you have to vote with your dollar sometimes, right?
You do. And you can't just turn a blind eye.
No.
You can't just say, oh, it's not happening, or we don't have to look at it. Like you have to bring it to light. And if enough of the consumers stand up and say something, and then
exactly. Well, and also I thought what was great, even though it was a horrible, horrible thing for them to have that law, look at all the dialogue that happened in media, on social networking, and obviously in lunchrooms, like across North America, hopefully the world,
brought up everywhere.
Everybody was talking about it. And no matter, even if they were for or against, there's dialogues, and hopefully that means change.
Yeah, conversations. You need conversations to start.
Exactly. So I guess in that light, we can look at it as a positive thing because people were talking. I found it really disheartening to watch videos, to hear articles, to know that I'm living here in Canada, and there was basically, I felt like there was nothing I could do to say anything, but you can, like we were just saying.
There's always something you can do, even if it's something as simple as talking about it with another person, or joining an advocacy group, or signing a petition online, or donating some money to an advocacy group, even if you don't want to join one. Yeah.
So with trans rights, what are the things that you want to change, or what are the things that you guys wanted to bring light to in reference to that into the Charter of Rights? Like you said, nothing is addressed for trans rights?
No, there's nothing explicit in there that says, trans people have the right to, or this, that, or the other thing. It's just, it's not in there at all.
Okay.
So I mean, there's
it's just a
some
matter
LGBT in there, but there's not anything explicit. And I mean, when it comes to things like healthcare or
schooling,
benefits and schooling and children and decision making and things like that, I mean, there's got to be some laws. Otherwise, you can just get pushed around by the system, and you can be told no.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that you can do about it. And 20 years ago or 20 plus years ago, I mean, you were a lesbian or a gay couple or what have you, and you wanted to adopt a child or something like that, you were explicitly told no, and then you fight for your rights and you get them, and now you see hundreds of people, I mean, doing amazing work.
Yes.
And so we just have to start basically all over again and start working on the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and that's how progress is made.
Well, I find it interesting, like my schooling background was science and anthropology, and I remembered learning, I only took a few cultural anthropology classes because the stuff I took was more science-based, but I do remember in cultures all over the world, throughout history, there's been addressing in a population, whether someone is gay or trans, and they actually had, names in their culture for people who represented that. So to me, it seems ridiculous that at this day and age, when our population is so huge, that there's discrimination happening when acceptance occurred in a much more archaic, ancient time so easily, you know, and I kind of feel like everybody should have taken this cultural anthropology class.
I don't know exactly where it shifted and where we became intolerant or unaccepting to everyone as they are. Obviously, trans, it's not new. This is not it's not a new thing. It's been around since the beginning of time, and it used to be accepted. And I have been reading some articles and coming across some conversations, and I've been noticing that they've been saying that the trans population has, they say, it boomed or exploded in the last 20 years. Now, we don't know if that's actually because more people are presenting as transgendered, or if just because nobody ever talked about it before. Like, it was never recorded. Nobody ever wrote it down, and people were terrified to come out or terrified to say anything, and lived in shame and in hiding their whole lives. And now we're becoming at least more accepting to the point where these people aren't hiding themselves anymore. I mean, they're standing up and being counted, even if they're not legally recognized or in their countries or what have you. They're at least raising their hands and saying, you know, hey, I'm here.
I exist.
You
know. Yeah. And it isn't.
And so those numbers now are coming out, and there are a lot of talks about it, even coming down to whether or not this is the biological changes. It will be like an evolution. There have been some scientists who have speculated that transgender is an evolution of our race or of our species.
Well, I think definitely it would be part of evolution, the same way that being gay or lesbian is. Like in anthropology, there was an anthropology of sex class, and they have done studies on showing how the brain is different for every orientation and how that's related to how your gender is. And I think that right there just shows that our genetics, it's just simply our genetics. This is who we are as humans. We're all these different things.
And that's that's been the argument for many years now, is you did not choose this life. I mean,
no.
You were born that way. It's in your DNA.
Well, and it makes sense, right? Because there's so much variation physiologically. We have all these different colors of hair, all these different colors of eyes. So why wouldn't there be the same kind of variation
across the gender spectrum?
Right? Yes. Yeah, it makes sense to me. I don't know. It makes sense to you?
No,
too?
It does. Yeah.
Well, maybe we should have a short musical interlude, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about the events happening this week.
Sounds great.
Okay, so I have Rasputina ready to play. Have you ever listened to her or them?
No.
They're an interesting group. They play cellos, but in a, I guess you'd say, a little bit non-traditional way.
I always wish I could play the cello.
Me too. So I really like them. And this song is called Choose Me for a Champion, which was originally kind of written about Osama bin Laden. But I think it's an interesting concept, you know, that someone could be chosen for a champion to represent a whole group of people and bring awareness. So I think
it's a nerve-wracking responsibility.
I'm just saying,
to have
it's
to
related
speak.
to you.
It's to have a nerve-wracking responsibility to have to speak for people. You are always afraid of saying the wrong thing or doing, but somebody needs to start the conversation, right?
Exactly. I understand that, because even on my show, I worry about saying things the wrong way or not giving certain groups of people the amount of respect they need, men and women. You know what I mean? But exactly. Someone sometimes has to be the spearhead, and that's good. So thanks for being here and talking about all this stuff. So let's listen to Rasputina and Choose Me for a Champion here on CILU Radio 102.7 FM and the Betty Howls Show.
Choose me to be a champion. I am possessing of a very righteous style. I understand what's happening. I have charisma and, of course, a winning smile. I stand accused of being an audacious redeemer. Not a charge I can deny. I have refused the way of the liar and the schemer, and I'm not afraid to die. Hark back to the mighty shipwreck, how ancestors of islanders are weak, how the ship sank like a sinking think tank. Our memories are gone and sunk at sea. We have allowed ourselves to be insulted by invaders for the longest of years. I will employ all of my cunning and my patience, then we will persevere. I find I can get behind heretical ideas and make them real. You do what you want to do. I cannot tell you how to feel, but if the grievous deeds of the Floridian forces haven't opened up your eyes, I will get down my knees. The Picanian Women's Chorus will shout up to the skies. There's only 24 of us here on this island in the sea. We know Queen Mary Todd has sent her army, and I can be the hero that you need me to be. Oh, my visionary people, you don't need powerful binoculars to see that we're descendants of the bounty mutineers, and I can liquidate your fears, and Pitcairn Island will be free. You don't want those blimps coming here. A colonial offshoot, is that what you want us to be? The responsibility of saving all our lives on Pitcairn Island should be mine. Consider Thursday, October Christian. He's a great rebel, and I'm exaggerating only very slightly. He wore no clothes but a piece of cloth about his loins. Heroism is no more than a chapter in a tale of submission. The walls of oppression and humiliation cannot be demolished except in a rain of boomerangs, Christian said Monday in response to Tuesday's balloon massacres.
And that was Rasputina with Choose Me for a Champion. You're listening to The Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio, 102.7 FM. And I have with me in the studio a co-chair of this year's Thunder Pride, Jessica. Hello.
Hi.
Right before the break, we were talking a little bit about rights in Canada, rights throughout history, you know, all different kind of issues related to LGBTQ. And so now maybe we should touch on a few of the events that are happening over the course of this week in regard to this wonderful festival.
Right. So coming up right on Sunday, tomorrow morning at the Spirit Gardens at Marina Park, we have our opening ceremonies, which includes a smudge and drum. We'll also we also have Sunny Drake coming to do some story sharing, and we'll be doing some story sharing and healing time there.
Okay.
And then following that, we have the Sunny Drake performance, as I said, at the Paramount Theater at 3.
Okay.
And I'm excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
I switched shifts and booked off work so that I could get to go to it, because I've been excited about it since we decided to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then on Monday, we have our 4th annual Pride Awareness Breakfast. And it's at the Prince Arthur Hotel in the Provincial Room. It's 7:30 in the morning.
Wow.
And we have a keynote speaker coming to do a lecture on Play As You Are, celebrating LGBTQ rights in sport.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, especially coming off the Olympics and everything, as I was talking about before. I mean, it gets overlooked a lot. I mean, even just this year, we had Michael Sam, who was drafted into the NFL rather late, in my opinion, but the first openly gay NFL football player. I was cheering. I'm a big football fan, so I'm officially a Rams fan now.
Well, I think it's great, when anybody stands up and just says.
And because he could have easily stayed in the closet until after the draft. I mean, realistically, you just because you're invited to the draft does not mean that they have to draft you, become an unrestricted free agent. Nobody could have ever picked him up. But that was a real concern with coming out before the draft, and lots of people questioned him and said, why didn't you wait? Because once you're in, I mean, you've signed a contract, and it's a lot harder for them to kick you out.
But maybe that's why he did it before, to prove a point.
Exactly. He said, I'm going into this who I am. I don't want to hide. I don't want to trick anybody into hiring me and then being like, So it was really wonderful. It was a really, I felt very proud at that moment. I did. I just thought, because I love the NFL so much, but they're big, burly, manly men, and macho, and, they have homophobic slurs all the time, and they're always in the media and in trouble for insulting this group or that group. So I was really, really happy to see that, and I hope that it will continue now, because there are gay athletes. They are closeted, and they are there. They just there is no such thing as gay people don't play sports, because they do.
Well, because they're just people.
They're just people, exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, they're already in the organizations, we know, and we're just hoping, I just hope that more and more people will take the look to see that there was not this massive thing, and he didn't get drafted, and he will work and everything like that, and say, okay, so if he can do it, then I can do it, and if they can do it, then we can do it, and
it just will snowball.
Yes, as things do.
Yes.
Right? Progress. Yep. It starts with one. It starts with one person.
Definitely.
Moving on though, on Tuesday we have Literary Night, which is always a jam-packed event. This year we're bringing in Shani Mutu from Toronto, who's debuting her new book just came out in April. Okay. And then we also have our youth literary contest winners, who one is a untitled poem, another one is a story, and that's really exciting to get people involved, or to get the kids involved, or the youth. I'm sure they don't like to be called children. At a certain point, you're like, I'm not a kid anymore.
Well, in that event, isn't the other 10% group involved with that? Or are they going to be there or something? I remember reading.
Yes, I think I'm not entirely sure on the exact connection.
Okay,
but I know that will be there. They are amazing. They are everywhere.
Yes.
Few of them are on our committee, and it's awesome. They come down to the park and they do great work in this community, especially for youth. It's very important. I feel it's very important to, especially if you're very young and you are especially in high school or with other children. I think high school is probably the cruelest place we could send our children.
Yeah, I would agree.
It is terrible. So to have things like GSAs and the other 10% and other youth groups supporting you and saying, you know, we're here for you, and it's going to be okay, and it will end. High school does end eventually. Sometimes it feels like it doesn't.
Yeah,
but it does.
Yeah, it does.
And to have people to be there for you, to help you through it's amazing. There was nothing like that. I mean, I only graduated early 2000s from high school, and we had no GSAs, and I don't remember there being any out students. And now my younger sister, who just left high school a couple of years ago, she was, you know, they had a GSA, and she was out, and she was whatever all over the place, and it was just I felt like, wow. And just, you know, she's only 7 years younger than me. In just 7 years.
Yeah, that's
how
amazing.
much has changed.
Well, yeah, I graduated high school a long time ago, and there was nothing.
We won't talk about how long ago.
There was nothing like that at all available.
No.
I went to a Catholic high school too, but so I don't know if that would have been even a further kind of.
Well, St. Ignatius has one now, I believe.
Yeah, so that's where I went. So that's great. I think that, yeah, the more awareness and more places for people to feel included, the better.
I just got an email the other day from saying that St. Ignatius is partnering with another group, and they're doing a, I guess, suicide prevention thing for parents and parents and supporters of LGBTQ.
Oh, that's
youth.
Great. That's good.
So I mean,
it should
Catholic
just
school
be,
board, right? And they support Thunder Pride. They will be there at the park. Somebody representing them will be there at the park. So
well, and this last pope, I think, has gone a little bit further and been outspoken.
I'm not Catholic,
right?
but I love this guy.
I'm atheist now, but I was brought up Catholic, so I always still pay attention a little bit. But he's been a bit more outspoken.
I just love it when he just says, "Can we just drop it already?" Like there are so many other, and there are so many other things in the world that deserve and need attention. You know, there's hunger and poverty and illness plaguing people, literally plaguing people. We do not need to be focused on homosexuality and silly things like abortion laws and stuff like that, or birth control and so on and so forth. These are just things that it's the 21st century.
Yeah. Definitely. They have
we do not have control of the entire world anymore. We might have to let it go and focus on some things that need focusing on.
Well, and I think with religion, having an inclusive atmosphere is much better, because you can't tell me that an entire congregation or an entire amount of population of people involved in a religion all think the same things.
No.
It's impossible.
As much as they'd like you to.
Yeah, they might think that is true, but
Actually, we're really excited. Our closing services are closing. We do a church service and lunch, and we're doing it at St. Paul's United this year because they are celebrating becoming an affirming congregation.
Oh, wonderful.
So second one in Thunder Bay, United Church of Canada. It's a bit of a process. I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know how involved it is to actually become affirming. So Affirm United and St. Paul's United Church, and that'll be on the 15th at the 10:30 a.m. service, and then there's a luncheon following.
Is that on Sunday or?
It's a Sunday, yeah, Sunday the 15th.
So what happins on Thursday
or
Friday?
Wednesday? We move into Wednesday on our film night.
Okay.
We're bringing My Prairie Home, which is a docu-musical.
Oh.
So it's following transgendered performer Ray Spoon.
Okay.
It's documentary style, but there's all this musical interludes and songs and following them across the prairies.
Oh, interesting.
While they move from city to city, doing gig after gig, and just I'm super excited to see it. I mean, a docu-musical. We like documentaries. We love musicals.
Yeah, that's
it's
really
going to be.
interesting.
Chelsea McMullen is a director producer.
Okay.
So we're super excited about that. We also have 2 shorts from local artists.
Wonderful.
So, and that'll be on Wednesday night at the Paramount again at 7.
Oh,
Doors
great.
open at 7. It's $5. It's cheap, and it'll be really entertaining. So
All manageable.
And then in the past, we've done a walk of healing. We did our first Pride Parade last year. So we thought maybe with the parade, the walk of healing, we don't need to do the walk anymore. So we're doing a night of healing, and that'll be on the 12th, Thursday at 7, and in the labyrinth of St. Paul's Anglican Church. So South Side. It's actually the only event we do on the South Side. So we're excited. Everything happens downtown, right? So, but Thunder Bay, being a city that's amalgamated from 2 other cities, it's you know, especially if you're from here, you know the divide.
Yes.
There is the divide.
Yep.
So we want to make sure that we get everybody included. Sorry.
That's
so
okay.
that'll be on the Thursday, and we're having trans speaker Aiden come and give information, and we're also about the Rainbow Railroad, which is a group helping people who are LGBT people who are oppressed in their countries escape or find resources if they don't want to leave their countries or whatever. So it's like the Underground Railroad, only rainbowy.
That's pretty fantastic.
And more modern. No actual undergroundingness.
Yes. And you are listening to The Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio 102.7 FM. I have with me in the studio today a special guest, Jessica, who's co-chair of Thunder Pride this year. And right before the break, Jessica, we were talking about the events, and maybe we should take a step back and talk about Thursday night. It sounds like a bit more of a somber event, the healing walks. So,
the night of healing. It really is. It's a night to just come together and share stories and remember loved ones who have been victims of AIDS or suicide or gay bashing, or for people who have faced discrimination or been faced with gay bashing and survived. There'll be opportunity to light a candle and receive a flower in memory of a loved one who is lost or hurting, and just either continue on your healing process or maybe even start your healing process. Maybe you've been a victim and never said anything, or been too ashamed or afraid to stand up and say, I was hurt. And that's where your healing starts. You just saying, I was hurt, and now I'm going to start my healing. Yes.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like a very wonderful event, even though somber and melancholy to a certain degree.
Yeah, I mean,
necessary.
Pride is a celebration week, but at the same time, we have to recognize everything that we've been through, and it hasn't not been easy, and it has not been easy for a number of people, and so we have to recognize that as well. And the healing needs to start somewhere.
Yes, exactly.
We work for a future where discrimination and homophobia and biphobia and transphobia doesn't exist, but at this present time it does, and we have all been touched by it.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So
then we move on.
And then moving back off of the somber side and back into the happiness.
Yes.
We do the drag extravaganza on Friday night, which is always exciting at the Finlandia Club. And we're going right from start to finish this year. There is such an amazing lineup. We have multiple performers from out of town, Ottawa, Toronto, Winnipeg, all of the locals. It's really just, it's going to be a blast from start to finish. We are super excited. It's one of our more upbeat kind of events, and
extremely celebratory.
Bring out your celebration sticks. So that'll be at the Finlandia Club, at 8:30.
Okay.
You want to get there early because it's always packed early, and we're starting early this year. We start right at 9:00 because there's so much talent. We have to get it all in.
Does that one have tickets that are available pre, or do you
just
at the door?
Yeah, it's an all ages event.
Oh, fantastic.
It's all ages event. There will be wristbands for 19 plus, so you can.
Okay.
The bar will be open.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's we're excited about it.
So lots of performances, and are people encouraged to dress up when they come to this event?
People are encouraged to dress up whenever they go anywhere. But yeah, I always come in some sort of get up, bring out this wig or that, or rainbow dresses and streamers. Well, maybe not streamers. You might get tangled in people. It's often very crowded in there.
That could be fun as well.
Maybe it could be. It can be, as long as you're not harming somebody else with your.
That's true.
Have you ever been cut by a streamer?
No.
Paper cuts?
No.
They are nasty because those
crepe paper,
a little salty.
Oh, that's
so
true.
You get the cut and the salt in the wound at the same time.
Well, and the girls previous that were here were talking about Doritos and how they actually cut the performance art piece.
I can imagine.
They cut her and the local gentleman.
I was listening to it on my way over, and I thought to myself, ouch, because even when you eat Doritos and they cut the sides, sides in your mouth, oh, yeah, not nice.
There's always a little pain involved, I guess.
I guess so. You gotta, no pain, no gain is what they say. And then Saturdays, obviously the big day, the Pride Parade, which will start in Waverly Park.
Okay.
If we're having floats, if you want to bring a float, we encourage you to bring a float or march with a group, a banner, wear matching T-shirts. Just come with your friends, your kids. Put on all your Pride gear, your rainbow flags, your rainbow pinwheels, your anything you can find rainbowy.
Wonderful.
And we start. The parade starts at noon, so we ask if you're bringing a float, be there 11:30, just so we can get everyone in order. And then at 11:45, we'll have some speeches from probably from myself, from some local politicians, and the mayor I think is coming.
Great.
We have Chief Morrisseau coming, and she's going to be the Grand Marshal. We've never had a Grand Marshal before.
That's exciting.
Grand Marshal leading the way.
And what's the route of the parade?
It goes down Waverly into Red River,
and
then Red River down to the waterfront and into the Marina Park via the pedestrian entrance there. And then once you come right into the park, there will be music already playing. We've got the lineup of music for the Pride in the Park is insane too. We've got drag performers. We've got DJs Miss Temperance and Jackie Araki. We have the Married Singleman. Natural Process, Morning Light. It's just Shay Watson, the group choir, Quality Rocks. They've just formed this year, and I have a few, I think 5 or 6 songs that they're going to do, which is amazing in itself. It's a diversity choir, so.
And you're in that, you were saying, right?
I'm a part, yeah. I'll just plug my own group.
Well, you have to plug it all. Yeah. So,
and then there's the youth zone and the children's area. The other 10% and Diactive have partnered in the youth zone, and they've got sneak peek. I got a sneak peek because I'm privileged in that way. So I'm actually really excited for the things that they've got going on. Also, they'll have their tent set up for a place to come and talk and meet new people. Or if you're already part of the group, come hang out and whatnot. The children's area is they've got the blow up castle thing, and Boys and Girls Club and Volunteer Thunder Bay are partnering together with that, and the face painting, that really elaborate face painting that they do.
Neat.
Not when I was a kid and somebody drew like a cloud and a rainbow on your cheek,
or a butterfly,
or a heart smiley face, something very simple that your average 14-year-old volunteer could do. But yes, they have beautiful pieces that they can do on your skin now. So they will be there doing that. And then our food vendors, local food vendors, artisans,
wonderful.
anything under the sun you can think of buying, it will be there. So
it's going to be a great day.
it is. We're really excited about the park and the parade. The parade especially. I mean, it's second annual. And last year it was like, okay, well, we'll do the parade, and we didn't really know what was going to happen, whether or not people were going to show up, whether or not they were going to be supporting from local businesses and whatnot, and then the support and the turnout was amazing. I went with my little baby. It was only 5 weeks old. The very first outing ever was to Pride last year. And we walked in our stroller with our rainbow pinwheels, and it was just, I was crying, and everyone around me was so happy, and like, it was not a sad cry. It was like, this is so amazing. Yeah. So it's going to be even bigger and better this year, and especially people bringing their vehicles and bringing their displays, and local businesses coming with their employees and their banners and their volunteers and all the other groups in town. So I'm very excited to see. Of course, it's no Church Street, but but I'm very, very excited to see it.
That would be wonderful.
I'm super excited to be part of Pride this year, especially with World Pride being in Ontario and Toronto. And we've had some back and forth contact with them. They're really really good at including everyone across the country. And I love to see smaller places come out with, because I mean, you have your big prides, your Toronto Pride, your Vancouver Pride, you know, big cities.
And they're huge.
And they're huge and they're massive. It's really exciting to be able to do Pride Week in Thunder Bay and not have to travel and not have to leave your city and or go far. I mean, it's Northwestern Ontario's Pride celebration. We don't call it just Thunder Bay. We do it for the region. And it's just, it's awe-inspiring to me. It really is. And I mean, it really, if you stop and think about it, 4 years ago, there was nothing. And now there's massive parade, huge Pride in the Park festival, events every night. It's
fantastic.
My hats are off to everyone who's been working on it, who worked on it from the beginning, with new volunteers who continue to come out, even the volunteers who just come out and work in the park for us or work at the events and help sell tickets, or ushers and merchandise people and whatnot. It's just the support is amazing. It's
and
amazing.
Inspiring, I think.
Yeah, it is. It really it touches. I was gonna say it touches my heart, but it doesn't. It goes deeper. It touches my soul. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna cry.
That's okay. That's okay.
After the park goes from noon to 6.
Okay.
And then following the park, there's the pub night, which is at Black Pirates Pub. It is a 19+ event, and it's $5 at the door. And we've got Fab Dave and Jackie Araki and Miss Temperance again. And they'll be rocking us into the wee hours, I'm sure.
For sure.
And then we get up and go to church on Sunday morning.
Well, it's a good way to atone for staying up late the night before, I guess.
Yes, we're late and staying up. That's exactly it. No, it is. And then we are very excited to share our celebration with St. Paul's. We kind of organized it that way so that they would celebrate their affirming and we would celebrate our closing ceremonies together, because it's affirming congregation. Getting support from religious organizations has not always been available and not always been easy. And so to see people stand up and actually put the work into becoming a certified affirming congregation is good.
Yeah,
it's good for the people. It's good for those who maybe feel conflicted about having religious beliefs, but then also having things that maybe go against that mainstream. So to see everybody becoming more inclusive, and eventually, we'll pull around those people who are still super resistant to us.
Well, I think it'll only take time that people who are resistant will see that
yes, at this
people
point,
are
I
people.
think resistance is futile.
Yes, definitely. The Borg have it.
Yeah.
Definitely that. I mean, eventually people will just realize people are people. And
people are people, and it takes all kinds of kinds, and
Yeah.
you can say it 100 different ways, and it's still true.
Yeah.
There is no do it my way anymore. Everybody goes their own way.
Yes, definitely. Well, thanks so much for taking time out of your obviously super busy schedule to come
I'm happy
here.
to do it.
and tell us all about this.
It's a break to come here.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it felt like relaxing to be here. And now, we have even more people hearing about what you're doing this week, what's going to be happening. And it's just great to have you come and talk about this because it's just so important. My whole show is about including everybody and having equality and acceptance. And this is
equality, diversity, acceptance.
They're important concepts and we all should learn about them, I think.
We do, yeah. In early education, as stated.
Yes.
Homophobia is not inherent. It is a learned behavior.
Yes.
So we'll teach diversity, teach equality, and then there will be no more problems.
Well, and if
everything will be rainbow.
If homophobia is learned, it can be unlearned as well. So
it can. Right? And I've seen that in my own family. I've seen homophobia become unlearned and set aside. And maybe we're not
thinking the right way. Yeah.
Looking at it with open eyes and open minds and
open hearts.
Be straight but not narrow.
Yes.
Yes.
That's very good saying. Yes. So next week I'll talk about this as well, so that just in case people are just tuning in now and didn't hear, but any information that people are interested in, where could they find it? So that
100%. We have the Thunder Pride website, thunderpride.ca, also on Facebook.
Okay.
You can also hashtag Thunder Pride or follow us on Twitter at Thunder Bay Pride.
Great.
We are all over social media. Yes, but each site, each channel has all of the events and everything that you can come out and do. And
wonderful. So if people are wondering, they can see.
Not broken thoughts from me trying to pull all of the things together in my crazy brain right now.
Oh, you did great.
Thank you.
You did fabulous. So thanks for coming by. And
thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no problem. Anytime you want to come back, the door is always open.
No, be careful.
So we're going to just end this interview off with a band I really like. They're called Ponytail. And the song's called Easy Peasy because that's what putting this festival together was about.
It was easy peasy lemon squeezy.
So let's check that out. You are listening to The Betty Howls Show here on CILU Radio 102.7 FM.